Okay, so we're going to find out how to make our motors move. We've been flashing LED lights. Well, that's all fine and good, but really doesn't do that much good when we're designing a robot to do a task. We need to get some movement out of it. And first, we're going to look at the brain board real quickly here. We had all these female header pins that we put on one side of the brain board. Then we had the male header pins and the LEDs we put on the other side of the brain board. Well, these female header pins are what we're going to call inputs. That's where we will plug in sensors, and we'll learn a lot more about sensors coming up here. But for now, we're going to concentrate on this side. We've been concentrating on our LEDs, and we will look at the male header pins, but these are all what we will call outputs. We're outputting light from our LEDs, and from these three male header pins, we will output signals to our motors to make them move in the way that we want them to move, okay? So, we are going to call this first male header pin, the one closest to the switch. I'll call that number 1, and that is motor number 1, and that is where our drive motor, our wheels motor number 1 is going to go. This middle one we'll call motor number 2, and that's where our second drive motor, wheel motor, will go. And this third one is motor 3. And motor 3 is the motor for your accessory, your arm, or whatever you're going to put on your robot to make it work right. Couple more pictures here. Here's the motor 3, the accessory motor hooked up. A couple of you might have an accessory motor, the blue motor, that's the blue motor, that have different color wires here. Most of you are going to have the black, red, and white wires. The white wire always goes in towards the microcontroller, the black wire out towards the edge, and the red wire in the middle. Okay, so remember how that goes in. If you've got one with an orange, red, and brown wire, the orange wire goes on the inside, on your blue motor. On the black motors, the metal geared motors, that's our drive motors, they go in like this, and these do have an orange, red, and brown wire. And the orange wire goes in towards the microcontroller, the brown wire always goes out towards the edge of the board. Okay? So now we want to write a program that moves our motors. We want it to move in the way we want it to move. We want to be able to tell it what we want it to do. Now, in JAL, I've still got my Hello World program open. And if I was to go and open my robot template to write a motor program, and I was to write my motor program here between forever loop and end loop, and I went to compile and program, Hello World 2 would be the program that compiled and downloaded, not whatever we just did here. So we need to close Hello World 2 and make this robot template our only running program, our only program that we're working on. Let's go ahead and do a save as right away on this. And we are going to call this motor. All right, because this is the first time we're going to move our motors. You can see now this program is called motor. The first motor we're going to attempt to move is motor 3. Motor 3, that's the one that's our accessory arm. And if we push Control and Spacebar, you'll see that there's a shortcut there called motor 3, and it's leaving us with a parenthesis. The parenthesis is a lot like the parenthesis we had when we have the wait function. The parenthesis means that we need to add a parameter. We need to put a number there. We need to tell motor 3 how far and in what position we want it to move. Now, servo motors, these servo motors move in positions from 0 to the number 255, and we'll discuss the significance of the number 255 a little bit later, but let's just accept that for now, that 0 would be all the way with motor 3 in one direction, and 255 would be all the way with motor 3 in the other direction. If we wanted motor 3 to go to the middle, we would say motor 3 127, because that's halfway between 0 and 255. Well, I know it's not exactly halfway, but we can't use decimal points. We can't say 127.5, so we're going to say 127 is the middle. And then anything in between, we can make our motor move to anywhere in between. So, to start out here, let's move motor 3 to 0. That's all the way in one direction. And again, we need to give it a little bit of time to accomplish that task, to move that far. So we're going to wait 1 second there. Now again, Control and Space Bar. If I push the M, that'll bring me right to motor 3. That kind of eliminates all the other possibilities there. And this time I'm going to move my motor 3 all the way the other way, and we will wait again a second. All right, so let's compile and download this. Hooked up, that's the blue motor. Make sure it's hooked up in the way that I just showed you. And then unplug your USB cable, turn your microcontroller off and on, and you should see motor 3 moving all the way one way for a second, and then going all the way the other way for a second. Okay? So let's make it go to yet another position. Let's have it stop in the middle. Let's after it goes all the way one way and then all the way the other way, let's have it stop in the middle at 127 for a second as well. So we're going to wait 1,000 milliseconds there as well. So now we're going to see motor 3 go all the way one way for 1 second, all the way the other way for 1 second, and then move to the middle for 1 second. We can also say something on the order of, I want motor 3 to only move a little bit, and I want it to move to, say, position 70. And I want it to be at position 70 for, let's get this right here, for another second, all right? So we can move that motor 3 to whatever position we want. And go ahead and set up your motor and do some programming on that motor and make it move to all different positions. Have fun programming.